Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, lawyers prompt a new delay in a high-profile murder trial.
Congressman Michael Cloud secures millions for a major Victoria project, the upgrade that's decades overdue.
Plus, Trump pressures the Fed, what it means for interest rates going forward.
But the heat is definitely on. We're going to be hovering up to near the triple digit over the next couple of days. There's a chance for rain this coming weekend. We'll talk about that coming up in a moment.
And for our Friday night previews, we turn our attention to last year's 2A Division I state champions, the Ganado Indians. We'll highlight some of the new players and some of the returners coming back later on.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry.
And I'm Don Brubaker.
A high-profile murder case in Matagorda County is seeing yet another delay.
25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley has the latest on the case against Fernando Acosta Jr.
A pretrial hearing was set for Fernando Acosta Jr. today, but this case was delayed once again. Earlier this morning, there was a judge filling in for Judge Fortenberry. Fernando Acosta Jr.'s attorneys prefer to go before Judge Fortenberry and not to meet via Zoom call. Acosta was indicted on May 21st, 2021 for the murder of Amanda Johnson. Her remains were found in a burned SUV in Matagorda County. This murder trial has been reset several times now. Acosta is expected in court for that pretrial hearing on Wednesday, August 13th. Amanda Johnson is a single mother of two. She previously worked at a health club and was an elementary school teacher at Victoria ISD. She was just 38 years old. Reported in Matagorda County, Ray Mosley, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
As for today's hearing not happening, the district attorney provided an explanation. According to a letter from the defense team, there was a mix-up over which days a visiting judge would be presiding in the 130th District Court, ultimately pushing back the hearing now to August 13th.
On April 17, 2021, Amanda Johnson was reported missing from Victoria. The next day, she was found murdered in a burned vehicle on a rural Matagorda County road. The suspect in her case, Fernando Acosta Jr., was indicted on June 21, 2021. A judge denied his request for a bond reduction a few weeks later in July. Several trial dates were reset, including in November 2023, February 2024, and May 2024. The trial was expected to start April 7th of this year with jury selection. The latest pre-trial hearing set for today was rescheduled. The next pre-trial hearing is scheduled for August 13th. The trial is expected to start September 8th.
Here's our viewer poll tonight. How do you feel about the repeated delays in the Fernando Acosta Jr. case? Very concerned, somewhat concerned, not concerned, or you're undecided or have no opinion. Just as the 5 o'clock newscast, 92% of voters say they are very concerned about the delays. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have another look at the numbers on 25 News Now at 10.
A second Port Lavaca man faces charges after a recent shooting there. With a warrant, Port Lavaca police arrested 22-year-old Rene De La Rosa. Authorities say this is connected with the U.S. Marshal's recent arrest of 19-year-old Diego Thomas. Authorities say the two are partners in the same group that started shooting at another group at a Port Lavaca convenience store. De La Rosa faces 5 charges, including deadly conduct, discharge of a firearm, engaging in organized criminal activity using a deadly weapon, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of $50,000 bond. A Victoria man faces a charge of possession of child pornography. Using a warrant, Victoria police arrested 21-year-old Jose Tejeda at his home in the 3600 block of Lone Tree Road. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $30,000 bond. Vehicle thefts are on the rise in Victoria, and police are keeping a close eye on this trend. The city had 86 thefts in 2023. That number jumped to 92 last year. And so far this year, there have already been 32 reported cases. Drivers are encouraged to stay vigilant and take simple steps to deter thieves, like locking doors and securing valuables. Texas Amber Alert tonight, a child abduction from Waco. The missing child you see there, Melina Toussaint, a 3-year-old girl with blue hair, last seen wearing an orange swimsuit. The suspect in the abduction is Tanisha Toussaint, a 31-year-old woman. The suspect's vehicle, a gray 2019 Chevrolet Trax, license plate number VML 8873. If you have information, call the Waco Police Department or 911.
Congressman Michael Cloud has secured $5.5 million in federal funding to help build a new terminal at the Victoria Regional Airport. The funds are part of the Transportation, Housing and Urban Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2026. The current terminal is over 30 years old and not designed to accommodate larger aircraft, stricter security standards, and increased passenger volume. This funding will build a modern 30,000 square foot terminal that can handle today's passenger and TSA needs. The bill still needs full House and Senate approval. As we've been following Citizens Medical Center's request for the county to issue debt to fund its ICU expansion, we asked the hospital for its financial records from the past 5 years. The numbers show Citizens has operated at a loss for the past 3 years. In 2022, the hospital reported a $4.7 million loss. That grew to $8.1 million in 2023, and in 2024, they reported a $3.5 million loss in operating income. And we are learning more details about the violation in Victoria ISD's cosmetology program. According to information shared by the district today, the violation was found during an inspection in November 2023, with corrections made immediately. The district says it was notified of the monetary penalty in May of this year, and the $3,000 penalty was paid in June. Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation reported it on July 2nd.
In an interview with the Texas Tribune, Texas A&M University System Chancellor Glenn Hagar said he wants to help students complete college and expressed skepticism about the effectiveness of now defunct DEI programs. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. A big community celebration in Beeville is helping students get ready to head back to school. The Back to School Bash is happening this Saturday, August 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Coastal Bend College. Students can grab free backpacks and school supplies, plus enjoy food trucks, vendors, and special guests. It's all happening at the James R. Doherty Student Union Building, thanks to Telemundo Victoria, Coastal Bend College, and the city of Beeville. And you might be wondering if it will be sunny in Beeville on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm sure it will definitely be sunny. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at our forecast. And Mac, I believe today was officially the first triple-digit day?
Right now we're still at 99.
Okay.
Unless something happens somewhere in there. So yeah, it's, hey, what's the difference? I mean, it's a degree. It's just pretty hot. And for Saturday, yeah, it'll be sunny in Beeville, that's for sure. There's a little hope, however. You see all this moisture in Louisiana. It's sort of drifting, floating in our direction. So with a little luck, we may have more clouds around the area over the next 2 days and a chance for a shower or two. Will that knock the temperature down? Probably not. We'll take a look at your 7-day coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. President Trump is doubling down, saying there will be no extensions to his tariff deadline of August 1st. On social media Wednesday morning, the president posted the deadline, quote, will not be extended, unquote. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said Sunday Trump is still open to conversations with countries following the deadline as several rush to make deals with the United States. President Trump kept up pressure on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to lower interest rates while key data on U.S. economic growth outpaced expectations.
Karen Caifa is in Washington with a look at what all of this means for your money.
Some surprising news for economists on Wednesday and some not so surprising news. A key piece of economic data came in better than expectations, while the Federal Reserve did what many expected.
The Federal Reserve not flinching amid President Donald Trump's pressure to lower interest rates and his criticism of Fed Chief Jerome Powell.
We see our current policy stance as appropriate to guard against inflation risks. We're also attentive to risks on the employment side of our mandate.
Trump has called on Powell to resign and for the Fed to lower interest rates. But Powell does not act alone. Some of the Fed's other central bankers also want to take more time to gauge the impact of Trump's tariff policies before making a move. On Wednesday, the Commerce Department said U.S. economic growth was up sharply to 3% between April and June. But observers say the driving factor was businesses dialing down their imports after a first quarter binge to stay ahead of Trump's tariff plans.
Now we have this GDP number coming in really strong just because those imports fell off a cliff. So it's not necessarily a sign that we have this amazing economic expansion going on.
Economists say they'll continue to eye consumer spending as more trade deals fall into place and tariff threats subside with key U.S. trade partners like the European Union, which agreed to a framework deal with the U.S. on Sunday.
With the EU deal, do we feel over the next few days or weeks that our consumers back on and wanting to spend because they feel like the tariffs are off? But we don't see that just yet.
And how the U.S. labor market holds up. Unemployment has remained near an historic low, but gains across sectors have been narrowing.
That's where the next shoe is waiting to drop, is how much weakness will we actually see in the labor market.
And we will get our next look at the health of the U.S. labor market this upcoming Friday when the Labor Department releases its July jobs report. This is the 5th consecutive meeting that the Federal Reserve has left interest rates unchanged. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Here's some of the top headlines. In the Port Lavaca wave, due to ongoing construction and repairs to Memorial Medical Center's roof, the Calhoun County Commissioners Court waived ambulance transfer fees to Calhoun County Airport. And the Calhoun County Library Summer Reading Program reaches new records. To read these stories and more, go to PortLavacaWave.com.
And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to receive alerts. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, President Trump speaks out on an Epstein connection, what he's now saying about a former Mar-a-Lago worker.
Also ahead, an emergency response in Maui, how residents reacted to the sudden tsunami advisory.
Kamala Harris will not run for California governor. The former vice president announced today she will not be entering the race. That announcement ends months of speculation following her 2024 defeat to Donald Trump. In a prepared statement, Harris said in part that her future service to the country will not be in elected office. Two people close to Harris said that preserving her ability to launch a 2028 White House run played a part in her decision. In the near term, Harris is considering nonprofit work and a possible PAC. Another source close to Harris had shared that information. She's also poised to campaign for other Democrats in the midterm. President Trump providing new details about his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein. Trump says Epstein took young women who worked for him at his Mar-a-Lago resort.
Well, it comes as there's talk about Epstein's convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell possibly testifying before Congress. ABC's Perry Russum is in Washington.
President Trump giving new details on his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein, saying Epstein, quote, took people who worked in the spa at his Mar-a-Lago resort.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Trump asked if some of the workers were young women.
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Trump confirming one of those young women was Virginia Giuffre.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her.
Giuffre accused Ghislaine Maxwell of recruiting her when she was 16 years old, saying she was sexually assaulted by both Epstein and Maxwell.
I was recruited at a very young age from Mar-a-Lago.
Maxwell has denied the allegation. Giuffre died by suicide in April.
And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know, none whatsoever.
As the Department of Justice asked the federal courts to release grand jury testimony tied to the Epstein files, the DOJ now saying there were only 2 witnesses who testified, an FBI agent and New York City police detective, and much of that testimony is consistent with accounts already made public. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Maui tourists and locals slept in their cars overnight after evacuating to higher ground. Parts of Hawaii were under a tsunami advisory this morning after a powerful earthquake hit off of Russia's east coast. This was the scene on Maui at sunset on Tuesday. People had their eyes toward the water looking for tsunami waves. Panic caused major gridlock as people tried to drive to other parts of the island. To help with the situation, Oprah Winfrey opened up her private road in Maui to drivers. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has reported a 5-foot-high wave on the north central shore of Maui Island.
We'll be talking a little bit about that coming up in a moment. For right now, we're at 96 degrees, folks. We didn't make it to 100. We only got up to 99, but I'm sure somebody was at 100 degrees today. The heat rolls on, there's no denying that, but there is a chance of a shower or 2 over the next couple of days. We'll be talking about that in a moment. Well, the heat rolls on. For what I'm looking at, excitedly, we've got this big pocket of moisture right about here. And you may have noticed we had the high pressure on top of us. Well, it's actually moved a little bit over to Georgia and allowing this little pocket of lower pressure to actually start bringing that stuff toward us. So I'm going to say that for tomorrow and Friday, we have increasing clouds and a better chance of getting a few afternoon showers. Now, this is really not going to cool us down much, but it's kind of like what happened over the weekend where we saw that moisture basically cross over. The eastern part of the country continues with the heat wave. The Midwest finally got a break as that frontal system brought them some cooling temperatures. We don't have a heat advisory for us. They just know that in July is usually pretty hot, and that's what we're going to be getting. Wanted to show you that Dallas and Houston are having air pollution problems. The wind is not strong enough to stir up all that pollution that we create on a daily basis. But you can see here how to the north of this, they are actually out of the heat wave. Heat wave continues south and brutal throughout the Mississippi Valley with the heat and the humidity as well. Here's the little pocket of moisture we're talking about. There you can see how there's shower activity throughout Louisiana, and you can almost kind of expect it to roll through the upper Texas coast and maybe affect us for the next 2 days. After that, high pressure looks like it's be building back in. So not a lot of hope for us. We're looking at 105 as the heat index for tomorrow. And then over the weekend, getting up to 107. Right here is when we get the little bit of cloud deck. But after that, it just It just continues to be on the hot side. Now, there is a chance that we'll get another bout of fog tomorrow morning because the pressure is keeping all that moisture down at the surface. So look out for fog early in the morning at slightly cooler, a little bit more humidity, but it only lasts until about 8:30. Then it's all going to be gone. You can see right here, you can see this moisture right here where it's in green. And on the other side of that, well, that was the nighttime. That's the daytime. Your humidities go from 50, 60% at night down to 20 and 10% during the day as we continue on this extremely hot and dry weather pattern. Taking a look across the Atlantic, there's not a lot of business happening. There is some waves that come across off of Africa, and they theoretically should get going, but they're not because of the dust, and they're not because of the opposing wind that is crossing. That's called a shear wind that basically is going across. Well, out in the Pacific, it's very busy. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 existing tropical systems. Fortunately, they're moving all out to sea. Wanted to comment the tsunami. The tsunami is actually a seismic sea wave, okay? So you need seismic. You need an underground earthquake, underwater earthquake is what I should say. When you have a underwater earthquake, obviously the seafloor moves, and when it moves, then it creates this giant wave, and the waves do go across all the way across the Pacific, even to other areas. So they obviously had to worry about having tsunami waters on the west coast of the United States, interestingly enough. So tomorrow, Port Lavaca getting up to 95 degrees, partly cloudy, and then in Cuero, you're getting up to 96. Middle part of the day is the hot part. We've got just that 20% for the next 2 days, then plenty of hot and steamy as we get to the weekend. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. And here's Don.
Thank you, Mac. And here are some of the top headlines in the Cuero Record. Longtime DeWitt County Judge Daryl Fowler officially announced his decision not to seek a 6th term of office. And the Yorktown varsity and junior high cheerleading squads shine at a UCA cheer camp. To read these stories and more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com. When I think of cheerleading, I'm thinking high school football's around the corner here.
It is right around the corner. And we are cheering tonight for our Victoria Generals. Another big night for them, Max.
Yeah, Shauna, last night we were kind of there in our 10 o'clock newscast. We didn't know if they were going to win. They got the job done there in extras, but we had a couple interviews we want to talk to. Again, we'll talk to Caleb Cotton, and we'll hear from Coach Michael Oros coming up in sports. Good Wednesday evening here, Crossroads. And last time we finished up our 2A Division II coverage with the Louise Hornets. Well, tonight we're going to go over to 2A Division I. We're going to talk about the state champions there from last year in the Ganado Indians. They had a magical run last year, had a lot senior leadership on their team. Well, they are going to lose Bryce Ullman, their star quarterback, going into this year. So what's it going to be like in the quarterback room, you might ask? Well, they're going to turn their attention to quarterback Landon Arriaga. He actually started, if you kind of remember, the first 3 games there for Ganado start of the year because Ullman was recovering for injury. So he's got that experience, and he's also going to have some players that are going to be big weapons returning back. You got running back Logan Burrs coming back. He's also named the early preseason defensive MVP. So he doesn't do it on offense, he does it on defense as well. They're from Dave Campbell's. Over to the wide receivers. They got 2 wide receivers in Austin Pena, who's been a threat there from last year. And also, keep an eye on Cade Nixon. I think he's going to be a big threat. Kind of was more of that kind of slot receiver last year for Ganado. I think he's going to get a lot more touches going into this year. And the Indians, they are projected to win district again this year. So tomorrow we're going to go over to Bloomington and see how they're going to do over there in that District 15 2A Division I. Therefore, tomorrow. How about the Generals? Like I mentioned, they won last night there. We had some great footage. Look at this there from our sports reporter, Ray Robinson. That was the run. They got the win there yesterday for the Generals. Again, they won 6-5 there in 12 innings. So again, we didn't talk about there till late last night. Well, they're looking to see if they can get the win, and if they do, they'll move on to the championship. So before that happens, though, we talked to last night Cotton about how he felt scoring that winning run. How did Michael Oros feel as well from last night?
Personal stuff, so it was great. I mean, I did what needed to be done and scored the winning run, got on base, and that's all I can ask for. Pitchers did a really good job of backing us up as hitters, and it was just a slugfest, not giving up, being competitive. That's who I am.
Victoria General's rivalry is like no other, and it doesn't matter if it's regular season or playoffs, the game always ends like this, and kudos to them. They put a great lineup out there, a great pitching staff, and we made a lot of mistakes early, and we got one more break than they did late in the game, and that was the difference.
Love that from Oros. Again, even though they won, they still want to be focused in, right? Because, again, they're going to be playing here in about 30 minutes time out there in Bryan, Texas. Again, if they get the victory, they'll play there in the championship game, either against the Baton Rouge Rougarou or the Canyon Cane Cutters. It'll be Saturday, either here at Riverside or out there in Baton Rouge. Now, staying with the Generals, they also have multiple players receive all TCL team selections this year. You got first with Cole Tabor, the second baseman. He had a batting average of .296 and also had 21 RBIs here this season in the regular season. Also, shortstop Diego Diaz. He was the complete package, probably the best player on the entire team for the Generals. He had the batting average of .322 batting average and had a .508 on base percentage, which is really, really good. And also, pitchers Brock Lambert and Merrick Sears were also named, as Sears, being as a relief pitcher, had a .98 ERA, which is huge for a relief pitcher. Also, Lambert, their starter, was 6-0 and had a 2.0. their ERA. So congrats to all these players being named the Texas Collegiate League team selections. And finally, how about the Houston Astros? They broke that kind of losing streak there last night there versus the Washington Nationals. Well, they're going to keep that winning streak going, because guess what? They won 9-1. Stars Jose Altuve and Yainer Diaz had 6 of the 9 runs scored there. Again, they had 3-run home runs apiece for both of those players there for Jose Altuve and Yainer Diaz. So they're going to have a day off before they travel off to play the Boston Red Sox. It'll be Friday at 6:10 p.m. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shauna, back to you.
Max, thank you. We're back in a moment. These are not seahorses you're about to see. We'll tell you why Ponies in the Water was a planned event for a good cause. Finally tonight, the 100th annual Chincoteague Pony Swim started today in Virginia. The event involves saltwater cowboys herding wild ponies on an island and then swimming them across a channel to Chincoteague Island. It took only The ponies 4 minutes and 38 seconds to make the swim. How about that? People came from as far away as Arizona, Iowa, and Minnesota to see the swim. The activities raise money for the Chincoteague Volunteer Fire Company. The event ends August 1st when the ponies swim back across the channel. One way. It's not a one-way deal. You got to go back another way. You know,
A lot of horsepower.
a lot of horsepower there, and with all this heat, it's not a bad idea to swim in the water a little bit.
We should go with them.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Let's go,
back in the saddle again.
Let's go join the ponies there. Well, folks, because we need to figure out somehow to stay cool over the next few days, and we're going to be pushing that triple digit any time now. Well, it was 99 today, but I'm sure somebody was at 100 degrees. Next 2 days, a chance for an afternoon shower, and then the hot weekend coming up. Great if you need to do anything outdoors. It's just, you know, the middle part of the day is going to be real hard to get through because we're going to be perspiring a lot.
Unless you're out there swimming like the ponies.
There you go.
There you go.
Quick question for you. We had fog the last 2 mornings. Do you expect that again Thursday?
Fog again tomorrow morning, yes, as well. But I mean, it's 6 a.m., 8 a.m. Then it's gone.
Okay.
It burns away.
All right, very good. Mac, thank you, and thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.